Okay, we're going to look at chapter 6, section 5, and I'm going to show you how to calculate these. The first two are fairly simple calculations. To find the mean, you always do n times p, so you're going to do 0.84 times 127, and that's how you get that number. Now, for the standard deviation, if you want to see your formula, go to View an Example and look at this formula, and it is the square root of n times p times parentheses 1 minus p. So we know n times p is 106.68. Take that and multiply it by 1 minus 0.84, which is 0.16. So 106.68 times 0.16, take the square root, and you will get 4.13. Now, for probability of certain successes, first of all, I want to look at your normal table, and I want to discuss what this table means, okay? If you want to find the probability of, let's say, 1, your z-score is 1, what you would do is you would, or let's do 1.24. So the probability that it is less than 1.24, if you go to 1 point, let's do 1 point, right, yeah, let's do 1.24. 1.20123, 1.24 would be right here. So what that would tell me is the table tells me the probability all the way up to that point. So if you want to know less than that point, that would be your probability. But let's say your probability, you want to know anything greater than that. This table tells you the probability all the way up to that point. If you wanted to know anything greater than that, just remember the whole is 1. Everything up under here adds up to 1. So if you know the probability from here to here, and you want to know the probability of it being greater than that, you would take the probability that you get, and you take 1 minus everything behind it, whatever number that is, and that would give you the probability of this. This part plus this part adds up to 1. So if you know one part and you need to know the other part, all you do is say 1 minus the part you don't want. So let's look at that now. We want to know the probability of exactly 114 successes. Okay, so you're going to use your formula for your z-score, but for a normal distribution, we want to calculate an exact probability. So what we need to do is, if you want to know exactly 75 successes, you need to subtract 0.5 from that and add 0.5 for that. So you're going to kind of get a range. So you're going to subtract 0.5, which would be 74.5, and add 0.5, okay, on both sides. And we have to get a z-score. So to get your z-score, you always take your x values, which we're going to have 2 here. If you're looking for the probability of an exact success, this is the way you're going to calculate it. You're going to get 2 z-scores. You're going to do your x values minus mu, which is the mean, divided by standard deviation. This is your formula for a z-score every single time. X minus mu divided by standard deviation. So here's our key numbers. I've already made a spreadsheet for you. My computer's acting a little slow. Let's see, okay, here it comes, maybe. Okay, so here's our values. Here's our mean. Our x value. Let's look at our x value. Let me go back here. we want to know our X value is, what is the probability for 114 successes. So I'm going to delete that right there. And our X value here is 114. That's what we want to know. But we're going to have two X values. We're going to have 0.5 below that and 0.5 above it. So really we're going to use 0.5 below 114 would be 113.5. 0.5 above it would be 114.5. So here's what we're calculating. We're in part B right now. So to calculate our two z-scores, we're going to take 113.5 minus our mu, which is 106.68, divided by our standard deviation. X minus mean divided by standard deviation. So here's our first z-score. And this time we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to use 114.5. So we have two z values when we're trying to find the exact probability of a number. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get the probability of two different values. So if you look here, we're going to get the probability of it all the way up to, let's say, this number, and then the probability of it all the way to the second number. And we just want the probability of it between these two numbers. So the way you do that is you take out all the stuff of the lowest. So if you want to take out the lowest, you do the highest value minus the lowest value. Now, where did these numbers come from? I'm going to look up 1.65 and 1.89. So 1.65, 1.60, 1.61, 1.62, 63, 64, 65. So our first probability is 0.9505. Okay, that's this one. We're going to subtract it out, and then our other value, our biggest number, is 1.89. 1.89, which is, I believe, 0.9706. So you do the probability of the bigger number minus the probability of the smaller number, and you get 0.0201. Big minus little is how you do when you're doing exactly. Okay, and then the probability of less than 118 successes, we don't want to include 118. We want it less than 118, okay? So we're going to step back a little bit and say the probability all the way up to 117.5. That's our magical number. So for part C, we're going to do calculate our z-score, 117.5. So X this time is 117.5. We only have one z-score, which is a lot easier. So we do 117.5, that's our X value, minus the mean, divided by the standard deviation, and we get 0.261, alright, 2.62. So go to your table, look up 2.62, 2.6012, and we get 0.9956. The good thing about that is the probability of anything up to that value. So we don't, when it's less than, you don't have to do any subtracting or any calculation. That is your number. 2.62, 0.9955. That's our number. 0.9955.